All right, so in this video here, we're going to be taking a look at a linear relationship that is patterned in this table of values. From this linear relationship, we're going to be able to solve for an equation, but we're also going to be able to make a graph that represents this linear function or linear equation. So the first step that we want to do in this case here, I'm just going to go through it step by step, is let's graph out this linear equation based on this pattern. Now we know it's linear because our x and our y values are increasing, in this case, by the same number each time. X is consistently going up by 1, and the y value is going up by 2's. So when we graph it out, which we'll do on this little piece of grid paper here, okay, it's going to create a straight line. Now each of those points is given there. We have 1, 4, 2, 6, 3, 8, 4, 10, and 5, 12. And we can plot those out where the x is that horizontal axis, which you'll see on the bottom, and y is the vertical axis, which you'll see up on the side. They are labeled. I'm going up by ones each time. So you'll notice that they are labeled, again, I skip one line each. So I go up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then I do the same thing with the y's. We don't need the negatives here. We could put it in if we wanted to, but we don't need them over here. So we're going to graph them out, and we're going to plot these points onto the graph. And here they are. I've labeled what the points are as well. And you'll notice that they do follow this straight line, which is really good to see. It represents that it is a linear function. Okay, so as long as they follow a straight line, it is a linear function. And we're going to also show on this graph that that linear function or that pattern can continue both below and above. And we show that using those little arrows at each end. Now, from this, let's try to create an equation which represents this pattern and this graph. To do that, there's a bit of a process that's involved, and we have to figure out how can we relate the x value to the y value. So what operations do we need to do to x with numbers that is going to equal to y, and does it work every single time? So the first thing that we're going to look at is kind of the most basic of ways, and this is more of like a guess and check type of way that we can use, and that is by multiplying x by something, okay, some number, and then we're going to add or subtract to get the that answer to get y. So if we look at the x value and we say, okay, so let's add something to x to get y. Well, in the first one, we're adding 3. Okay, does that work for the second one? Well, in the second one, we'd have to add 4. All right, it's not the same, so we can't just add. Well, what if we multiply the x value by 2? Well, so 2 times 1 is 2. We have to add 2 to get 4. Okay, let's try that with the second one. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Oh, look, that works. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Ah, that must be the way. So we're going to multiply the x value by 2 and add 2 to the answer, and that will give us our y value. So that's the guess and check method. Now we can also use more of a mathematical or strategic method to do this as well. And to do that, we're going to take a look at how is the y value changing. Now we've talked about it already in this video that the y value is going up by 2 every time. So x is going up by 1, and that's what we want to look at. And y is going up by 2. All right, so the number will be multiplied by the change in y and then divided by the change in x. So we're looking at the change in y, and that in fact is 2. Okay, now if x is going up by something different, then we need to do the change in y divided by the change in x. So this is what it's going to look like when we're trying to find the equation. First of all, the change in y divided by the change in x is 2 over 1. Okay, so y is changing by 2 each time, x is changing by 1, and so our answer is 2. So that's going to be what we call our rate of change, and we can use that to create an equation. The second thing we need to do is we need to figure out the number that is being added, and that's going to be what I call the zero term. The zero term happens to be just above the x, or just above the 1 on there. So if we look back on the y's, again, we're going up by 2 each time. So if we go back to here, then our zero term is going to be 2 in this case. Sometimes it's easy to see, sometimes it's a little more difficult to see. Now, what we're going to get is we're going to get a little equation that looks kind of like this. We are going to multiply our x value by that change in y over change in x value. So we're going to put that one in there. We're going to multiply it. And now if we can't get the zero term at this point, This is where we might multiply our x value by 2 and figure out what we have to add or subtract. If we can get the zero term, then we're going to just add that on to the end. Now, if it's going down by a certain number, we'll subtract it. But this is how we can create an equation to represent this pattern. And we can use this equation to find any other value from 0, negatives, to massive positives, and anything in between. I hope this helped you. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I can definitely try to help.